Hey there, this is Reen Rose. I have not been on a live for, I can't even remember how long it's been. It's been months and months and months. My life has been going in different directions, but I just felt so moved today because I've just finished doing a session with the Calgary Teachers Conference on creating a classroom of readers. And when I was telling a friend about this a few days ago, she was saying, "Oh, I need that for my kids. My daughter doesn't like to read very much. Can you tell me how to create a family of readers?" And that got me thinking that there are probably a lot of people out there who have children who don't really like reading. And there is a simple solution to this. It takes time, but it's not hard, that I want to share with you. I want to share with you the magic solution to creating a reader. And I know when I was young, I was a reluctant reader. So I know what this is like. I think it was partly because I moved provinces when I was in grade one. So I went from Saskatchewan and whole word learning to British Columbia and their phonics system. And I just got really confused. And I had a lovely older sister who was 2 grades ahead of me, and she was really happy to read to me. So it was like, well, why do I want to read to myself? Because she'll read to me. And she did all the voices. Oh, she was amazing. So, right from the time I could start reading to myself, I just chose not to. I didn't want to. I found stories boring. I didn't like the books that we were supposed to be reading. And so, yeah, I just chose not to. And it wasn't until I got to grade three that my teacher read us aloud. She read Enid Blyton's The Valley of Adventure. Now, I'm just showing how many decades old I am, old as dirt, as my friend Sue likes to say. And I am that goes back a long time, and those books aren't really up to date anymore. But I loved this book. And there are other books in the series. And I asked our teacher if she would read another one. And she said, "Nope. If you want to read anything more about these characters, you're going to have to read it for yourself." And that's what I did. So I started reading. I started only by reading the rest of the books in that series. And then I branched out to other Enid Blyton books. And then eventually I branched out to books of other genres. And now I'm an avid reader. I have hundreds of books. You can see I've got lots of books behind me, lots of books over there, and probably about 150 books on my Kindle. So I love reading. But who knows whether that would ever have really happened if I hadn't fallen in love with a book that someone read to me. So that is the magic key. If you have children at home, and this is any age group, we so often think that preschool or pre-readers we should read to, but as soon as kids can read to themselves, that we shouldn't read to them anymore. And that nothing could be farther from the truth. I still love being read to. And when I met my then husband and we got married, we went around the world for 3 months. He read to me every single night. I just loved it. We'd get cuddled up in bed and he would read. He read me Stephen King's Misery. He read me Diana by, oh, I always forget his name. I did write it down. R.F. Delderfield. Loved it. He suggested I read it, and I was like, yeah, I don't know if I want to read that book. So he read it to me, loved the book. Everybody loves stories. We learn by stories. We are engaged by stories. So reading aloud to anyone is a really valuable thing to do. If you're going to try doing this, it's really important that you find a book that you love. It needs to be something, not something you loved when you were a kid, but something that you could read now and love, and that you think your child will love. Because if it's something that's like, if I tried to read The Valley of Adventure to a child these days, they'd look at me in horror and think, what are you doing? You want it to be something they're interested in. One book that I'm just going to suggest now is a really good start. Doesn't really matter what your age is Anne Fine's The Diary of a Killer Cat. It's a really easy book to read. It's not a high reading level, but it is the story of a week in the life of a cat told from the cat's perspective, as opposed to the owner's perspective. Great story, because the cat kills birds and mice and drags them in the house, and yeah, all these things, and it's told in such a humorous way. There's nothing that is going to scar a child. But you can then talk about perspective, and you can make this really rich. You can get some great conversations because a cat thinks it's okay to kill a bird. Does that mean people think it's okay? Well, if we don't think it's okay, does that mean it's not okay for the cat? And you can get lots of perspective. You can talk about all kinds of things. And one of the great reasons for sharing books with your children is that they will talk to you about all kinds of things they're worried about, things that they're thinking that are in relation to a character in a book, because they're not having to talk about themselves. It's not so vulnerable. It's not so difficult if you are talking about the character being orphaned, or the character, failing a grade in school or whatever, or not doing well. You can discuss things that are going on for your child through the characters in a book. So it's really, really good. The other thing I would say, reading, fabulous. Reading and engaging, even better. So as you read, you can pause and go, why do you think they did that? Or what do you think is going to happen next? Or do you know what that word means? And you can talk about how you figure out how it means, not necessarily going to the dictionary, but just figuring it out from the way it's been used in a sentence. So this is great. Now, the one last tip I'm going to give you, because the key to this is it's got to be a time that is fun. You don't want to be making this seem like the kids are back at school again. This needs to be a fun, relaxing time. You might even, if you've got multiple children, want to have one-on-one time for reading, or you might want to read one book to all of them if they're of a similar age. You might even want to make hot chocolate and sit down and, so you just really want this to be a very, very comfortable, enjoyable time for them to spend with you. So it is that mom-child time or dad-child time that kids really love. And even if on their face they're going, do we have to? You'll actually find that you give them enough chance and they'll be going, are we going to read today? Are we? So build it into your time. Don't think that just because your kids can read to themselves that you shouldn't read to them. If you choose a book and make sure you've read it yourself recently. Think about the themes, if you think it's going to suit your child. Share it with them. And if you get partway through and by chapter 5, your child's still going, I still don't really like this, don't be afraid to swap books and talk about why we don't always like all the same books. So I've just finished doing my Calgary Teachers Conference and talked for an hour about all of these things. I'm not going to do the same for you. I want to keep this quite short, and already I'm at over 7 minutes. So if I was back in Toastmasters, that bell would have rung and I would have been off the stage. So I'm going to stop now. But yeah, don't minimize the effect and the benefits of reading aloud to people of all ages. I hope that you have a great day. And if you're an adult and you're not much of a reader, try Audible. Try finding your partner, see if they'll read to you. Do the same sorts of things. It's never too late to become a confident, happy, inspired reader.